All right, so it's a Saturday, lovely evening, and welcome to My Viewpoints on Ubuntu channel. And on this program, this is a program where we get to bring you news that has been making headlines during the week. We talk about the most happenings, and we pick the cream de la cream of the happenings of the week. I am your host, Lance Sanibanda, this evening, and of course, with my co-host, Chaza. Chaza, good evening. How are you doing today?
Good evening. I'm doing well. How are you doing, Lance?
I am doing fine as well. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. It's a great evening and it's getting cold now. The weather is becoming friendly because when it's cold, at least you can do more things than when it is hot.
Yeah, definitely. Make sure that you eat more because the body generates more heat this time around. All right, so to continue with the program, of course, we have shared with you the link through the comments box, wherever that you are watching us from, either on Facebook or on YouTube. Make sure that you click on that link and join us in the studios and pick the story of your choice so that you can talk about it or you can share your view and also share a comment on it. So tonight's program is fully packed as we have Putangalande, who is a human rights activist and also a social rights activist. He is our analyst this evening. And not forgetting, we have, as usual, Vincent Hamalwa, a seasoned journalist and a PR practitioner. Not forgetting, also we have other people like Nyachi Sengu in the studio as well as we get to discuss different stories that we have picked for you this particular evening, which you can share a view and of course talk about it. Now remember that we do not own the rights of these videos that which we share right on this program, but we bring it to you so that you get updated with what has been happening during the week and also get to talk about different issues. And firstly, getting into the program. Mputa, good evening. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, Lancy, and thank you for having me. Good evening to the listeners and the viewers.
Mm. All right. Also, Mr. Hamalo Vincent, good evening. Still in Sioma?
Yeah, still in Sioma. We have to make sure at least we round up as many students as possible so that they access higher education. Otherwise, good evening and how's Lusaka and how's everybody, including the viewers.
Mm. All right. Lusaka is great. And thank you so much. So, getting straight into the program. All right. Nyatsengu, hi. How are you doing back in Canada?
Hi, we're doing okay here. Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Thank you.
All right, great. All right, if we have anybody in the background, perhaps they can join and we get to move forward with the program as they are joining. Himba, hi, good evening. How are you doing today?
Good evening, Lance. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. How are you?
Not bad. And good evening, viewers.
Okay, great. So the stories that we have panel this evening are very interesting stories. These are stories of human nature, and if possible, let's get to forward our comments, our ideas, and debate these clips that are there. The first clip is of a 51-year-old woman of Mansa who decided to get back to school because in the New Dawn government, education is now free for everyone. So she decides to get back to school and also advises young people to value school and also continue with school. Let's get to look at this clip, and then when we come back on the other side, we get the ball rolling.
Kuti nibwerere maningi kuskulu nishakuti mu life yanga nenze na target. My goal was to have 6 points grade 12. Here's the target yanga. Then futhi nizofuna kuti sinenze kufuna bamaiso napunzirepo not even grade 1 then batate vanapunzira standard 6 sinenze kufuna kuti nipite mwamine munapita makolo vanga.
All right, so that is the 51-year-old woman of Mansa there. Of course, getting back to school. Age is not a barrier. If you have determination, you can get to achieve anything that you want to do. Let's get to talk about this. Perhaps I'll start with you, Mputa, since you are a human rights activist and also a social rights activist. How do you look at this scenario? How do you look at this woman getting back to school and also urging the young women or the young people to continue with school and get to value it?
Well, dreams never die, and I must make mention that it is a courageous move. It is a bold move on her part, and it will not be easy. As you might be aware, she will be in school with very young people, and she should embrace being humble. Otherwise, it is a very good move, and I wish her the best. Hope a lot of younger people, younger than her, would also emulate and see the possibility that she has seen in school by going back and also making sure that she achieves her dream. So basically, there are young people younger than her that have decided they do not want to go to school because maybe they dropped out due to certain circumstances. But I think she's her being on the news like that will make her it will inspire a lot of young people, and I hope a lot of young people will be inspired so that she continues. Yeah, so good for her.
All right, good for her. Vincent, in Sierra Leone, there is a 97-year-old woman that decided to also get back to school. She's now in grade 7, and she says her dream is to become a doctor. At 97, she's in grade 7. She dreams of being a professional doctor. And we have, of course, our own 51-year-old getting back to school. And she says she doesn't want to go through what her mother did. How inspiring is this lady's idea, this lady's bold move to get back to school despite of the age?
Thank you very much, Lance. I think this is a very welcome move, and it's very quite inspiring. As I said earlier on when we began the program, that I'm still in Sioma, where I came to round up different people, and I can so far tell you to say both the people that we have recruited, they are starting from youths to adults, people that have got older age because they've got passion for school. So this one becomes more like it's more like it's something which inspires a lot of young people to focus and understand the importance of education. We can say education is not everything, but education is always a passport to whatever that you want to do. You understand? So this one is quite inspirational, especially to the girl child. Me, I'll rate it on the other side, where you have seen the increase in teen pregnancies, child marriages, where we have even seen Eastern Province stopping. So this, it's going to set as a very good example to the people in the eastern, western, southern part of the country. So from my side, it's an inspiring move and it's a welcome move, and we encourage a lot of people to continue with that, so that we see that what the new Don government has brought in is good.
Okay, great. Nyach Sengu, this is a woman, um, a gender that many people have ridiculed, saying they don't really need school because they'll be housewives and they will be doing all these house chores. But this one defies the odds and gets back to school at 51. I don't know what your thought is.
I think, Lance, at this stage, you should know me. I'm quite different. I've never believed in any of that, that, education is only for men or whatever, women are housewives. I've never believed in that. Even though growing up, my mother wasn't educated, I always, I always looked forward to become a very educated person in my future. I always wanted to be to do well, even though, like, I can tell you that my grade 12 certificate wasn't the best, but I went on to do quite well as I went up. I have a lot of education behind me, and I'm hoping to start a PhD in September. So to me, to hear somebody who's a woman wanting to go back to school, that's quite inspiring. Like everybody has alluded to here, it's good for all the girl child or boy child, whoever has always longed to go to school. This is the time. Use the time, and it's a fantastic thing to hear. Thanks.
All right, Himba, your comment on this
one. Good evening, viewers, once more. Lance, for me, I'm so proud of these women, and I also recommend that we all join hands to support them, whether they are in Zambia, wherever they are. I think they need our positive thinking and our positive support. And when we talk about education, for me, I don't just look at it that the person has to be a profession. A person who is informed is rich in their mind. A person who is educated. I'm not saying people who are not educated can't analyze. They can, but if you are educated, it adds more advantage to you to analyze and understand issues. So education for me, it just doesn't mean you have to be a profession, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a pilot. No, it also gives the self-identity. It gives you the sense of self-respect, and you also have the self-esteem, because you understand whatever issue is put on your table. But even in your marriage, even in your family, you'll be able to articulate issues better than a person who is not informed. So for me, I support them. I'm so proud of them. And as the community, wherever they are, let them get the support they need. And they are role models in the community.
All right. So education is always key to success. That's what has been there time and again. That's a phrase that we have grown up with. We really applaud this woman for taking that bold step. We move on to the next story. As we know, power always moves things. We are talking about electricity here. Many a times that we have heard people complain of ZESCO, we have heard people complain of load management here and there, and a lot of people have not yet been connected. ZESCO has got a backlog of about 6,000 households that have not been connected yet. But residents of Chilidabombwe were elated when they got connected to power, and this is what they had to say.
Lack of electricity provides huge economic challenges and deprives residents of development. Residents of Mingomba community in Kasumbalesa area in Chilabombwe district are among those deprived of this necessity. Government, through the Rural Electrification Authority, RIA, undertook the 2021 Mingomba Rural Electrification Project and implemented Mingomba Grid Intensification Project to provide residents in this community with electricity. Beneficiaries to this grid have expressed excitement and have commended the government and RIA for the gesture.
So hapa ni ngufa bwino sana any day any time hapa kuti na isura saluni kwaliba amaroom zali nakula ayo nabika tini mukuti nabika mo saluni mukuti nabika mo ka restaurant munabika mo nomba mulando wa lights twalifira okuchite chili chonzi amalights akula twafa fafine wapanga menshi washitisha abana fira fine bale ku sukulu mule bali pila ko tuma buku mwashi.
So sorry for that, but that's the development which is there in Chililabombwe. Power gets Chililabombwe residents have power, stored in their houses. But of course, marrying this story together with another story of the same REA, Rural Electrification Authority, earlier this week announced that their 5-year project of connecting houses in rural areas at a subsidized amount comes to an end in July. That's the news which is there. And then also they made announcements further on a press briefing which they had. Let's get to look at this clip, and then on the other side we get your comments.
Because the funds allocated towards this sub-program are nearly depleted. From the remaining funds, only 1,200 new applications will be accepted by CESCO before the project closes. This is, however, against the growing demand for rural households to be connected under the subsidy program. It is important to note that government has started to engage the World Bank and other partners with a view that they mobilize more funding for a similar project in the nearby future. Members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, after officially closing the subsidy program in the next few weeks, the focus by REA will be shifted towards completion of what is called sub-component A2, which is the grid extension and reinforcement works, where households and SMEs that are within the 30-meter radius of the newly constructed lines will be required to visit CESCO for applications under the normal applicable fees.
All right, thank you so much for staying tuned. Chaza, perhaps you can take up this one. Okay, we have lost Chaza there. But anyway, the program continues. So we have REA right there, of course, talking about subsidized electricity. That 5-year deal is coming to an end this year, and giving an update on how much they have spent so far and what is remaining and how they will make use of it before this contract gets to end. And late last year, we saw ZESCO also applying to the applying to ERB, Energy Regulation Board, so that connection fees can be adjusted upwards. Now, with this revelation coming through from REA and with the elation of Chililabombwe residents, let's get to I don't know. Let's get to start a little debate here. Are we going to see residents that haven't been connected yet afford connect power or electricity in their homes, owing to the fact that REA that deal is cutting this year? Anyone can start, pick it up, and then we can move in whichever order.
Okay, good evening, guys. Sorry, I've just joined you guys.
Good evening, Lawrence.
Yeah, so the issue here is I think it's important to underscore the importance of clean energy in our homes. Rural Electrification Authority (REA) have taken this mandate to help the rural population to have access to clean energy, unlike the use of charcoal and all that wood. So what we are trying to do here is also underscore the importance of clean and green energy for these people in rural areas. So with subsidized electricity connections coming to an end, I think it's important to underline that the fact that we have still left a lot of homes not connected. So there is need for the continuation of this project, in the sense that if we do not have more connections in this vein, we shall continue to see the continuous cutting down of trees, and we are singing of global warming and all that kind of an arrangement. So there is urgent need that they relook into this project and see if it can be extended to allow more homes get connections. I think for me, the issue of illegal connections and the like is not even here for or there for me. It's the issue of global warming, what we are complaining about. Every other country is trying to tackle. So let's also participate as Zambia to ensure that we move away from firewood, we move away from charcoal, and put everyone on the electricity grid from RIA or ZESCO, whichever way. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Lawrence. Let's get to see if Hamalwa, you can come in.
Okay, basically, as I always say, Lance, I think I've been privileged to move in different areas and see how electricity help people. I'm telling you, as I'm talking right now, here in Sioma, there's another place. It's called. There's another place. It's in the village. There's electricity, and you can see there is too much activity. You know, people don't get to to depend so much on cutting trees for them to get to cook their food. They just use electricity. And if you look at the cost of living in Zambia has gone a bit high. I think people in the villages really need this electricity so that they're up to date with what's happening. How are they going to know what's happening? They need to watch TVs. You know, they really need this electricity. So subsidize electricity if there is a way. The government should think of launching this project, just like the way Mr. Lawrence has said. Okay, because this project is going to help a lot of families, not only one family, but multiple families. Others that have got other businesses that they're running, they've got shops. Others, maybe they may be into metal fabrication. As you are aware right now that the government has introduced some programs in the current CDF where some people have gotten, they're doing trade skills. But when they go back that side, even the making of desks, making for other things, they'll be made easy because there's electricity in those areas. So these people really need to be empowered, especially with this subsidized electricity.
All right, Mputa, ZESCO, when applying for electricity tariffs to be adjusted upwards, they talked of three practical areas, which is the high density populated areas, low density populated areas, and the medium density populated areas. And of course, the famous one, which most people talked about, was the upward adjustments from 750 to 4,000 kwacha. And the other one was from, if not 3,000 to 11,000, I think somewhere within those range. And then we see RIA's program coming to an end. And in their presser, they also mentioned that out of the whole project that they had, they only managed to connect about 30% out of the 100%. Do you think, and also with power, you know, if you have power in different areas, development gets to move there, because we'll see, you know, some activities of industries and maybe textile or these other things. Do you think that with the coming to an end of this RIA project, we will see development going into some other areas that will fail to connect electricity, and looking at the backlog that ZESCO has of connections?
Well, it is something that comes with mixed feelings on my part, because people struggled even when these services were subsidized to connect, and looking at the prices increase, we must expect a lot more people to not manage, that will not manage these. So I think ZESCO should reconsider, and the government at large should reconsider, and also put in measures to push on or even continue subsidizing these services, because we're denying other people, who are going to be denying other people services and certain privileges because of prices that we put. So yes, someone who is from well-to-do can manage, and there are others that are not from well-to-do that cannot manage. So I think we should, in everything that the government does, we should be these um, two aspects that should be looked at. What methods can we use to make sure that we do not make certain people fail to get the services that are needed with regards to electricity. So I think for me, subsidies are a way of giving those that live below the poverty line, those that live in areas that everything is difficult to get, can get certain commodities that are a privilege of the rich at a certain price to cushion them, to cushion the impact, and government should endeavor to move in that direction. And I urge the government of the Republic of Zambia. I know that those are the conditions for the IMF. When the IMF they are coming into a country, they will make sure that there are certain services that you should not subsidize. But I must make mention that as economic growth is coming, as we are pursuing economic growth, we must also pursue human growth. These two move together, and if we neglect one of them, we'll have a case of Malawi. We'll get that IMF deal, and we'll have a case of Malawi and all these other countries where civil servants and other people will rise up because the impact is too much on the ground. So yes, we can have good good policies, and we might want that money, and we might want to implement this removing of these subsidies. But at the impact, when people feel the impact, they will start supporting that particular move by the government, and we see a lot of uprising and a lot of people pointing fingers in the direction of the government. So economic growth and human growth should be uh, in one basket as we move forward. And if any institution or the IMF suggests that we pursue economic growth and leave human growth behind, then that is a wrong move that we should not take.
Well, all right. Thank you so much for that panel. Let's get to move to the other clip. Now, as we know, government introduced monthly reviews of petroleum products. And last month, we saw a decrease of petrol, for a decrease of 2.15 way. And for the month of May, getting into the month of June, petrol has been increased by 18 way, while diesel and kerosene have remained with a status quo. No increment has been made to that. Let's get to look at the press briefing or the clip from ERB, and then when we come back, we get comments from the panel.
Per litre, while prices of diesel and kerosene remain unchanged. Since the last price review, the average international price of the three petroleum products generally increased from $133 per barrel in the month of April to $139 per barrel in the month of May. Specifically, the petrol prices increased by 8.9%, while diesel and kerosene rose by 3% and 1.4% respectively. The comparatively higher price for petrol is attributed to the seasonal rise in demand for petrol in the Western countries as the summer season commences. Further, the kwacha appreciated by close to 2% against the United States dollar to an average of 17 kwacha per dollar since the last price review in April 2022. The variances in computed prices for diesel and kerosene were within the set trigger band of 2.5%. On the other hand, the movement in petrol prices rose above the trigger band threshold, thereby necessitating an increase.
All right. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Chaza, you can pick that one up.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, tonight I'm having, connectivity challenges, but I'm back and hoping to stay until the end of the program for now. Yes, indeed, we are seeing changes as regards
All right, so it looks like my colleague Chaza is still facing that internet problem. But like we have seen the increase of petroleum goods, right? The 18th way was the increase made by ERB on petrol and then diesel and also kerosene. There was no increase. Nyach Sengu, with this 18 way increment on fuel, do you think it will have a ripple effect on the economy and maybe also on the cost of goods and services?
Well, as long as, hi, it's Beauty here again. As long as there is a shortage of fuel in the world, it's going to affect everybody. It's going to affect the way you do business. And, I'll go back to my story again. I live in Canada, one of the countries that's got plenty of oil and plenty of gas, as you may call it. But our prices are going up. When you go in the store to buy anything, everything is expensive now. And I think people should realize that this is not just a Zambian problem. It is a worldwide problem. Thank you.
All right. Lawrence, this increment, what does it bring to somebody that boards on a bus? Will this mean that they will
Okay, I think from what I've heard so far, we had Ratsa announcing that they are meeting with bus operators to discuss the fuel. I'm saying not just a few days ago, I saw Ratsa announce that they are having conversations with bus operators on the hikes on bus fares. That is just directly as a result of the fuel hike. But I think for me, I understand we are having a fuel shortage globally, but the monthly reviews that our government introduced, I think, are the ones which are not working on our side. We are going to be we have been having price changes in transport fares for too often now. This year it's like every month you're having new fares, reduction, increase, like that, and it's just difficult for anybody to plan. Every time you want to travel this time around, you start asking how much is a bus fare, because you don't know if the last time you boarded the bus and the next time you bought a bus, it will be the same price. It's no longer guaranteed in those lines. So in the past, we used to have quarterly reviews of fuel prices, but this time around we've switched to monthly, which on my part is a little bit of an inconvenience because it's very difficult to plan. Just last month, I was budgeting for fuel for this month, and just after I completed all the budgeting, I hear of a fuel hike. Fine. Then what happens next? I have to remember that at home, the taxis are also going to hike. I should remember that bus fares are also going to be hiked. As a result, prices of commodities are also going to be hiked. And next month, we expect the same. It's just tedious now.
Okay, it's just tedious like that. Mputa, this introduction of ERB saying that fuel will be, or petroleum products will be done monthly reviews are what we are going to adopt for now. Do you think this is going to last for a while? Will it last us for a long time? And what effects does it have on somebody that owns a small business and wants to plan for his business and maybe make a proper budget?
Well, there's the there's instability in terms of planning. If you own a business, you know that much that if you are planning for next month, if there's a price that you have put on fuel for this month, you don't know what is coming next month when this review comes back. Or this month, you don't know what is coming when the review when ERB comes back, and that is something that keeps you unstable. And I don't know what criteria and what explanation. I think I didn't quite get why we should do the reviews every month. But I I I would want to understand what is the rationale behind it. Is it because the economy, the world economy, or our economy itself is not stable? Things keep changing, so we want to, the government wanted to be updating every day. And why wasn't this happening in the past? But again, we must also understand that it is a new government, and we can't expect for the new government to act like the previous government. Even as comrades, when you move into a new relationship, you must also understand that the new partner will not behave like the old partner. They all have certain things that will come with it that are different. So it is the same with the new government. But if it is one thing that keeps us off balance, mostly if you're an entrepreneur, and if you carry out activities like as an NGO, if you want to carry out activities, it is becoming very difficult because you plan fuel that you're going to use to go to this province is this much, but if the increase goes, if the amount goes up, you need also to adjust. And if you remember, you planned this activity maybe 3 weeks ago, and the review comes. So yeah, it has affected our weight, and I can imagine for someone who's in business what that does on their business. But basically, for me, I think we should do away with it. That is my thinking is at least maybe every after 6 months it can make sense, because when you are assured of stability. But like I said, another thing is that we are trying to please the IMF so that they can bail us out with some money, so that the bullet payment that is coming in September should not. But for me, I've always said that even if you owe someone money, if the time comes that you need to pay that money and you don't have, there's no need for you to panic and go steal. You just tell them, no, I think we can't manage here. Can we wait around it on how we can pay? I can pay some other time. And I think Zambia will not disappear if we default in September. So let's stop scaring each other that what if we default, what if what. No, let's stop. Zambia is not going anywhere until we default. Let's wait within our means. Let's they messed up the previous regime, messed up our economy, they borrowed excessively, but we must not, like I said, we must not put the impact of this economy with regards to putting it on, and making sure that you want to grow the economy, but disregard the actual human development or human capacity that will be there. Immediately we do that, the masses will not support the direction and the policies of the government. Even those that are inside the system will start subordinating the actual work of the government, and you find that you are alone because it is the impact that is making you think now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Let me get to Himba. So last month, when government or when ERB reduced the pump prices by 2 kwacha 15 way, they met with bus operators. They met with bus operators, of which they reached an agreement to reduce 2 kwacha from the bus fares, but only for intercity buses. But we have now seen an increment of 8 ngwe, and government together with bus operators met. Resolution has not been given out yet. Should we expect an increment in the bus fares?
Lance, I wouldn't really be able to say whether I should expect an increase or not. But for me, the issue of fuel, I would say it's a 50-50 situation. And why do I say it's a 50-50 situation? This monthly review, it may work well, it may not work well. And on the other hand, looking at where we've come from, you know, we had the previous regime, they had their own way of doing things. And now we have the new government, which are also coming in with their own policies, new policies, and they're also trying to see which is best for our citizen. On the other hand, when we talk about the fuel, sometimes there's a time when the fuel price goes down, even on the international market, but we are going to find that locally they don't really reduce the prices. Most of the times we just hear when they're increasing, but you never hear that we are reducing. But I think this monthly, it will help us. I know it is difficult when it comes to planning, it's difficult when it comes to budgeting, but for me, it's worth trying. And looking at the dynamics we are having on internationally, on the economy part, I think let's see how it goes. And if this method is sustainable, that's not up to us. It's the government themselves to feel it, whether it's sustainable or it's not sustainable. As much as it may be an inconvenience on our budgeting part, but you may find that actually it's also working well. Look now, if you could hear from the briefing we had, they're even telling us that the kwacha has appreciated, is it? But now, what about in the situation where the kwacha has appreciated? Don't we deserve to reduce the prices? And all I'm asking from the government is, when we have these policies, new policies and policies which like citizens are still struggling to understand, can we have enough sensitization at all levels, national, provincial, community levels, rural areas? If possible, let our leaders try to disseminate this information into local language so that the citizens are not left behind, so that the citizens are carried forward. Because look now, they've announced this in English, there's no even local language, and I don't even think the local radio stations, they've even picked it up to share information. Our friends who are far away, especially in the rural areas, and then some people, they're even taking advantage of fuel commodities, even when it has no impact. So I'm asking for the political leaders to find a way of sensitizing the community at large.
All right, Chimba, thank you so much for that. Vincent, I will exclude you and I include you in the next clip as we have to move with time. Now, in this next clip, ZRA took a cleanup session, I would call it like that, of which it was found that actually over 30,000 vehicles are not registered, or they have not cleared custom. Let's get to hear from the ZRA chief, and then when we come back, Vincent, you start or open up with our comments. Let's get to see this.
As the Zambia Revenue Authority, we would like to announce that over 300,000 vehicles have been discovered to have mismatching records in the ZRA system and the Road Transport and Safety Agency system. And we conducted an exercise for vehicles that were imported between 1st January 2015 up to 31st October 2021. And this is when we discovered that there is a mismatch. So this could be as a result of wrongly captured data or vehicles not cleared at all. So we are giving an opportunity to taxpayers to come forward scan and email their documents if they discover that their vehicles are appearing on the ZRA website. So what the authority has done, a taxpayer can go to their website, they look for motor vehicle search, they can input their chassis number, and if they find their chassis number, it means that vehicle is of interest. So they can scan their documents to show that their vehicle is correctly cleared, so that we also verify and delete that vehicle from the list. However, there is no penalty or interest charged for voluntary compliance. A taxpayer can come, we'll assess and tell them the taxes that are due, and they are free to go. However, after 31st August 2022, we are putting in place serious enforcement measures and activities to ensure that all those vehicles are impounded, taxes are paid or recovered, and where possible, those vehicles will be forfeited to the state.
Thank you so much. Now, the question, or $1 million question that is here, is to say, how is it possible that RATSA has the full data, whilst ZRA, which clears everything that comes from out of Zambia, doesn't have the records? Vincent.
Thank you very much, Lance. Just to come in. Yes, ZRA cannot really have the full data, but RATSA can. If you look at the fact to say most of these cars pay, they pay RATSA, they pay load fitness, they pay what. So RATSA has that. For RATSA to guarantee a car with a number plate, meaning they have to have all the details. So when someone pays, I'm sure you have to know to say there's this car which is available in the country. Let me just tell you the one thing to say. I think there was too much lawlessness in the country during the previous regime. There are some few things that did not really pay attention to. That's why you find there's so many lacunas in most of these cases that has to do when you're dealing with state machinery. There's too many lacunas. So now I know everybody's asking, but how come it managed? How did it manage to pass by the border? It's. I really don't know what's really happening in our country, what was happening in our country, where you find a lot of things come in, they're not even well cleared. Do we have this issue from ZRA? We have got that issue from where? I don't know how these law enforcement agencies work hand in hand, especially in terms of bringing sanity in the country. So, I can't really get surprised to say there are about a lot of cars like those that were not cleared by them. As you remember, by then, as long as you are putting on the Puligaria, you have got the powers that you can vest into yourself, and you can do anything possible. So for RATSA to start registering number plates, meaning they have got the full document. So RATSA knows the type where those 33 cars are and how they were captured. We're not going to say they are wrongly captured. Maybe yes, but in my own opinion, I doubt if they are wrongly captured. Okay. How do you, just that we take things lightly. I think as Zambians, we don't really pay attention to certain things. We take them lightly. So RATSA has to give a report as why those 33 cars, were not cleared by ZRA, but they're given number plates. What really happened? So that these cars can be cleared and the Zambian people's resources can be recovered. We can't be having government losing resources through dubious means. Maybe corruption was involved. If corruption was involved, let us bring the culprits to what? To book. We can't have all these things happening. No. Thank you very much.
Well, okay, Mputa, this is not the first time that ZRA is giving an ultimatum to motorists to clear their customs or to clear their vehicles. Mid-2021, then DG of ZRA spoke of the same. He lamented to say there are certain people that are importing cars and are not paying tax. They are not clearing at the customs office, but they continue driving these cars. And I remember ZRA giving an ultimatum to say, we have given you this time frame, come through and clear your vehicles. We will not charge you anything. But if you don't, and this period elapses, then ZRA will take action. We never had anything after that. And now we have something new. ZRA again has given an ultimatum. This time around, is ZRA going to do what it has promised? Will it have teeth to bite this time around? Should we believe in it? Mputa, are you there?
Okay, maybe I can come in.
Yes, Lawrence, please do.
Yeah. So we have heard of those ultimatums from ZRA, and to be honest, I think we do not have the systems to track down which cars exactly. And some of these announcements being made are not even precise, to be honest. I'm not surprised that this issue is even happening, because I think we need to move with digital age at this point in time. We do not need we do not have a system that connects RATSA and ZRA at this point in time. Therefore, RATSA depends on manual paperwork to do all their work. And to be honest, this time around, counter checking documents and things like that, it's a lot of work, and sometimes even forged documents in this digital age. It's very easy to forge this and that, and this is what has been happening. So at this point in time, going forward, we need to look at a way where we can harmonize the system for RATA and the system for ZRA, such that just by the fact that someone has cleared the vehicle, the data should also be picked by RATA, so that if the person who has cleared the vehicle goes there, the system will already be waiting for that to be done, registration to be done for that vehicle. But at this point in time, we are not yet there, and we will continue to lose a lot of revenue as a country through such kind of actions. So, in a nutshell, it's time we moved, and we moved with the digital age, I think.
Well, quickly, Nyatsengu, you can make your comment as well.
Impuphu na shifula mchalo. It's the only way I can put it, because there's no way anybody can say somebody can buy a vehicle from one country, passes all these borders, and is unable to clear it at the border into Zambia. You know what I mean? When you're coming into Zambia, I'm sure there are cameras that can pick up somebody. You know, the clearance forms that you do, you're given 30 days to clear your vehicle, and afterwards that doesn't happen. I think it's happening, but through dubious means. People are pocketing the money, and they just need to do a very good audit, and they'll find out where the problem is. Carry out proper investigations to root cause. And I'm thinking even, there has to be some sort of a way that we can bring in people who can do a better job in a lot of these government institutions, because what's going on in Zambia is absolutely ridiculous. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Nyatsengu. So an update on this story. Transport Minister Frank Tayali fired 5 high officials from RATSA in connection with the same data that came through from the ZRA. Now, moving on to another story, of course, the immigration department has been very busy in Zambia trying to screen people of foreign nationals to see if they are living in Zambia legally, and also just to check how if their passports, if their residentials are still they are still in time or in check with the government and everything to do with that. So immigration officers rounded up a few of these foreign nationals, and from the number that they rounded up, only a few of them were found to be in line with what government wants, and the rest of them, screening is still ongoing. In Mansa, we saw something happening, in Sesheke as well, and also in Solwezi, we saw that exercise taking place. Now, an issue which is of serious human interest: a Tanzanian truck driver caught for human trafficking right here in Zambia. Let's get to look at this.
Hey, come, drop. Hey, white driver, come. Joe. Hey, Joe. Smart. Sit down. Wait, look. Come back. Hey, no. Sit there.
Now, that is how a Tanzanian truck driver was trafficking Ethiopian nationals into Zambia right from his truck. Before I get the panel to react to the story, let's get to see if we can read a few messages that have come in on the program. All right, so this one comes from Jonathan. He says, good evening, Lance, Chaza, and the rest of the panel. I'm having challenges with connectivity. However, I will follow the program first. Jonathan, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Gift says, contribution over the issue of fuel. I think it's the program which every country is facing. I think he meant to write problem, which every country is facing here in Africa, but now Zambia at least. Thank you so much, Gift, for that message. Let's get to see if we can read another one. So Naftali Piri says, this monthly review of fuel prices, to me, I think it's not good because it disturbs in terms of budgeting, and it also increases the cost of living because it's difficult for traders to review product prices on a monthly basis. That's my contribution. Thank you, Naftali. He continues to say, what measure does the government put in place to make sure that this issue of human trafficking doesn't happen again? Very good question right there. All right, so thank you so much for everybody that has come through via those messages. Now, panel, each of you has 30 seconds to react to the story, and in fact, let me say 45 seconds for you to react to the story and also your closing remarks. Let me begin with you, Vincent.
Very much, Lance. Thank you very much. I think coming to the issue of human trafficking has been a problem for quite some time now. I think there is need to do more inspections, especially with these truck drivers that are coming. This is not the first story. I think we remember last time in Eastern Province, a truck was loaded with maize on top. Inside there were people, and I'm told they paid good money. From my own personal, investigations. But the government has to come in with a full bang and do a lot of inspecting these trucks that are coming in the country from outside, so that we not have multiple people that are going to work in the country, because we don't know what they may do tomorrow. Some of these may end up turning into criminals. Already you have got the issue of abduction. Then maybe just finally, I can just make this quick announcement, Mr. Lance, that we on this Ubuntu channel will be able to give some scholarships to some less privileged in society, especially that deserves it. That is case of Supersha University. We'll give close to about 20 people 100% scholarships that really want to go back to school. So we'll actually interact later on how we can award those people. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Vincent. Himba, your 45 seconds starts now.
Thank you so much, Rance. The issue of trafficking, human trafficking in our country, I strongly believe this is not an act that can be done easily. There's a chain. For all these trucks to be passing through the borders, the checkpoints, This is an organized crime which happened, like there's a system, the way it is working. So really the government has to come in, because even our own people, I'm sure they are involved in this act, because this is an organized crime. There's no way a driver straight from Tanzania coming through all the Zambian, all these borders and nothing. And as Vincent has said, there's a lot of money involved, which is being paid as this trafficking is happening. Now may our government come in seriously and see to it that even our system, it checks those who are involved in this act. Good evening, viewers.
All right, thank you so much. Nyach Sengu, your 45 seconds starts now.
I totally agree with him, but this is an organized, it's organized crime. There are people in Zambia that are dealing with those people in Tanzania, and there are a lot of people that are being paid to be able to do this. So the government, I'll go back again, involve whoever you need to involve, but the investigations need to be done very well, get to the root cause and implement controls in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Nyach Sengu. And finally, Lawrence, you have 45 seconds.
I think I agree with Vincent. I saw the truck that was caught in Chipata last year, and if you see how the maize was packed, it was a containerized truck, like with partitions down, and then loaded with maize, and then very well packed. One can't even tell. The thing is, I think for me, I'll give kudos to the immigration department, who have managed to debunk some of these crimes of this nature, and caught up with these trucks that are doing this. I think let's encourage them to work on this, and try to be more vigilant. I think this is not easy, but we hope they can push in their best and keep on catching all these perpetrators of this violence or of this vice.
Thank you so much, Lawrence, and also thank you so much, panel, for your time. Thank you so much to everybody that made time to tune in and watch this week's edition of Point of View. I've been your host, Lance Sanibanda. Until we meet again, of course, tomorrow when we bring to you the gospel show right here on Ubuntu. Make sure that you like and you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Good evening. Thank you so much and stay blessed.